You've just rolled up to In the Mind of Reelz, where the whiskey's strong, the opinions are stronger, and there's no filter in sight. We're talking no holds barred, people. I am Reelz, Marine, biker, musician, and unapologetic patriot. I love my country and all things fast, loud, and wild. And if you came here looking for a smooth ride, well, you're in the wrong motherfucking place. Buckle up, let's get it done. It's time to dive into the chaos that's inside my mind. So, I just got back from Arizona Bike Week. It was a phenomenal little getaway. I went out there with some bros and some friends and just had a really good time. Now, this was my third time going to Bike Week. The whole scenario for me was just the ride itself. Being out on the road is like, if anybody who knows me knows, I love being on the motherfucking road on the bike. There's just something about traveling on the bike and just living off the bike for a while, man. It's just a great time. Especially when you're doing it with good people. So we hung out in Cave Creek a lot. That's kind of where it all happens. There's a place in Westworld, people go to Westworld a lot and hang out there. There's a lot of vendors. The weather was fucking amazing. I'm not a fan of the heat. I'm an Irish, Scottish guy. I burn fucking easy. So just being out at the perfect weather with great people in a great state of Arizona it was fucking amazing. I got some fun stories I could tell you all about, and it was just another good time. Overall, from beginning to end until I got home, I rode 1,007 miles, and it was a great time. Now, I did get sick though. I got sick on Saturday night, the last night there. I started coming down with something. I started feeling it. And then, of course, Sunday morning came. I had full-on head cold, congestion, and sore throat, coughing. I had to make that trek home, too. So it was a couple 100 miles home, and I was just, put my head down and just fucking mobbed and tried to get home as fast as possible because I was feeling like shite. But, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Anyways, but you know what? Aside from, the good times and shopping and going to the Dixon store and riding and hanging with my peeps and partying and having a good time, it wasn't just about the ride, right? Like, I had an opportunity to meet up with a good bro of mine, and this was probably one of the most meaningful stops of this trip. Was to see my buddy. His name is Damian Paige, and he is the owner of Hail Mary Holsters, and I got him here today. What's up, bro?
What's up, partner? How you been?
Pretty good, man. I act like I haven't seen you in a couple weeks, but I just saw you last week, dude. So
Hey, that's all right. We just pick up where we left off.
Exactly, dude. And you know what? My viewers don't know who you are, and I want to get into a few details about you because, how we met was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I want to throw out there right now, I say, yes, he is the owner of Hail Mary Holsters. This guy makes custom holsters for all type of guns. He is the man. And coincidentally, on my trip out there, and I think this is just, it was kind of meant to be, bro. It was kind of meant to be. My holster for my Glock 30 happened to break. Mm-hmm. And I was already out there. I'd already made plans to see you. Mm-hmm. And then I showed up with a broken holster, bro, and you fixed it on the spot. Absolutely loved it.
Of course. I had to take care of my people, I take pride in my work. So if something goes wrong, hey, I'm Johnny on the spot.
I love that about you, dude. See, bam. I love it, dude. You can see the leather is starting to wear in a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. My old one, dude, the leather was nice and smooth and all worn in and fit freaking nice. So this one's still a little stiff.
Yeah, that's the hybrid one with the leather kydex. leather Kydex mix, leather on the back where it's more comfortable for your body, and then the
Yeah.
Kydex on the front. That way you can reholster without it pancaking on you.
I tell you what, dude, Damien, you are the real deal, bro. And, I was fortunate enough to be able to meet you through Beast, who
Yeah.
you happen to be his cousin.
So yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Good
Um,
brother.
yeah, for those of you who don't know, I haven't watched the previous episodes. We recently lost Beast in a motorcycle accident. Terrible, terrible to hear about. But I think he would be stoked to see that we're hanging out and chatting, dude. I think he'd be happy about that.
Absolutely. Because he always believed in networking and getting things done and, having friends and, just knowing shit, knowing people.
Yep, yep. And you know what? I think that's what made this visit with you a little bit more special for me because I hadn't seen you since we lost him.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to, talk about what happened? Or do you just want to like move on, continue the friendship? But we have that same commonality. We
Yeah.
both were close to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as what you were saying, it's like we can do both, continue the friendship and, fellowshipping and stuff, and then, talk about our memories, good or
Yeah,
bad about it.
yeah. Well, dude, you still trip me out because you don't know this about Damien, but Damien himself was in a pretty brutal car accident a couple years back. He almost lost his leg.
Yeah, that
Almost
was
lost his leg.
20.
Yep. That's crazy, man. Just seeing you, last week and seeing your legs still, like you're still healing from that scenario. A quick
Yeah.
rundown. What happened, bro?
Well, with the accident, what happened was I was going down the street heading back home. Next thing I know, this car slams right in front of me on its brakes. I had less than 13 feet to come from 35 to a stop. And then it was like I laid the bike down. I had gloves on, rolled the throttle, not even knowing it. And it threw me in the oncoming traffic. And I got hit by
Mm,
two cars. One hit
crazy.
me, the first one head on. And then the second one came around that one and then ran over my legs.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah,
It's
so
fucking crazy.
that's how the accident happened. And I only knew that because I read the police report because I was unconscious the whole time. And then I was unconscious during the 5 surgeries they did in a week and a half, back to back. And I was in a drug induced coma. So, they gave me the good shit. But no,
That's crazy, man.
all joking aside, though, it was pretty serious. I have titanium from my shoulder, all on my right side, all the way down to my ankle, all on my right side. They rebuilt my knee, my shoulder. Shit, man. When I got the bill, my insurance sent me cover charge of the bill. It was like over $800,000. Yeah,
Dang.
I was in the hospital for 2 months.
I knew it was pretty bad when Beast told me about it, dude. He kept me posted on what was happening. Didn't you have a conversation at some point where they told you that they might take your leg?
No, they didn't tell me that shit, man.
Okay.
They didn't tell me until after I got discharged when I
Oh,
went to go
okay.
see the surgeon because they kept. Well, what was funny is that when I was conscious, in between surgeries and stuff, he would come with this little pinwheel and roll it on my big toe on the right side. And he said, "Can you feel that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can feel it. Yeah, But my smaller toes were numb, but the big toe I could feel that. And then he told
Mm,
me at my first appointment it's like I'm an orthopedic surgeon. We do this all the time, but we were betting that you would lose that leg. You know, and if they had told me that in the hospital, I would have found a way to hop up and get some crutches and start walking that motherfucker.
yeah.
Like, I don't want to lose no limbs, man.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't have to do that, man. It's still, still looking in bad shape, but I know it's a long road to recovery on stuff like that sometimes. So,
Yeah, it's just right now it's a lot of swelling from the scar tissue. And like I mentioned It's like they had to rebuild the whole leg. You know,
Hmm.
it was mangled. The road rash, just so your viewers would know this, the road rash ripped off my calf. If it was
Damn.
90 degrees that day, and if it hadn't been any hotter, I would have more flesh ripped off my leg. Yeah, and I was
I
wearing
didn't know
pants.
that.
Yeah, I was wearing pants. I had the body armor, I had the helmet. So I don't want the guys thinking I was on there with flip flops and shit.
No, yeah,
No,
yeah. No, you
I was
never rode
geared
with
up.
flip flops.
Yeah, I was like, no, no, no. But
Crazy, man.
yeah, that's what happened.
Well, I mean, and I hate to say it, it's one of those things where bikers, we know anytime we get on that bike, we know there's that risk, bro. We know there's that
Sure.
risk, dude, and but we do it anyways.
Yeah, right until the
That's how
wheels fall off.
badass it is to ride a bike. It's just if you don't ride, you won't know. You know?
Yeah,
But
no.
and I know you're pretty much done with riding, which I can totally understand.
Yeah, I still, when it comes to that brake pedal, I still have a little numbness in my foot, so I wouldn't really be able to feel it, if I was pushing down or not. And that's kind of
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was tripping out because even though your legs, all jacked up, here you are in your garage making a custom holster for my Glock 30 to fit nice and snug for me, dude. And I just was like, this guy's still fucking doing it, bro. Even with the injury, man. I absolutely loved seeing you up there taking care of business.
Hey, man, I greatly appreciate that,
Wow.
and thank you. And any
So
love from the viewers, I thank you in advance.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I know you're not just holsters. He's got a nice little selection of knives and other
Hmm.
things, and he can make these custom holsters to however you want. If you want a logo on there, a design, any
Hmm.
kind of graphic, he can do all that.
Make it up for you.
That's
Yeah.
nice, man.
And then I also do night sheaths, and then I do an axe sheaths as well.
Oh yeah, the axe one was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I almost bought one of those axes off you, but I was like, yeah. I still got the whole rest of the trip here. I didn't want to, I was like, where am I going to put this thing, right now?
Well,
So,
there's always next time when you come back out because I'm always getting new inventory.
oh yeah, I'm going to be back. I gotta check in with you and see it, but
Of course.
great quality stuff, very attention to detail, and you're a hell of a resilient man, dude. You really are,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you. I try
So
to keep it going.
yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, bud.
Oh, no, no, no. I just want to say I keep it pushing. I keep it going. Don't let no grass grow under my feet.
Well, hey, do you wanna plug any of your social sites or your you have a website or anything like that with your business?
Yeah, with the business, it's basically, guerrilla marketing. I do it through Instagram. So it's basically Hail Mary Holsters, HELL, and then Mary Holsters. So you can find me there or my Facebook page. You can also contact me through there or set up an appointment, and I'll be glad to get a holster made for you or a sheath or whatever that you think I might be able to provide for you.
Good shit, bro. I dig it. And yeah, I like your knives. I gotta get a couple more, but we'll talk more about that another time. I want to kind of circle back to the beast scenario, right? And I did an episode for him when we lost him.
Yeah, yeah. It
In
was
that
good.
episode, I talk about how we had a falling out and
Yeah.
shit happens. Shit happens.
Of course.
So the fact that we were never able to clear the air before he passed is always going to weigh on me, bro. It's always going to be there. And that's why, like, seeing you for the first time since that, it was almost like having a piece of beast being there,
Beast,
right?
yeah.
Because that's how we met and everything,
Yeah,
came
yeah.
to be. It was, it's one of those
Yeah.
scenarios. But my thing to you, because I never had a chance to talk to you about it, like, the fact that we had that falling out and we're still friends really goes to show the type of person you are, your character. And I appreciate the fact that we were able to talk about it at some point and you're like, you know what? You and I, we're still good.
Yeah, for sure. Because even though you have your falling outs and whatnot, you still had good times. You still had
Yeah.
those times where you talk shit. You get have a beer or whatever. You roll together, and you just remember that because those are the moments where you can give a person their flowers and you can see they appreciate you.
Yeah.
Or appreciate what you're doing for them because it's not all about the gifts and what you can buy a person. It's the time you take to be with that person.
Yeah.
You made time to, out of your schedule, whatever it is you're doing in life, and say, hey, be sweet, we're rolling today, or I'll
Yeah.
roll up and meet up with you. Same thing with me as family. It was just like he's checking on me. He's checking on me more
Yeah.
than my own brother did.
That's good shit.
And it was awesome.
Well, let me ask you, as I get older, I think in these terms a lot. Life's so fucking short, bro.
Yeah.
You could literally die tomorrow and that's it. So, but I often wonder, I mean, do you believe in like an afterlife? Are you a religious person? I mean, do you believe that you go somewhere when one dies? Do you believe that there's a way to see people again in the afterlife?
I do believe in that there is an afterlife. I'm a believer. I'm not a religious man that goes to church
Yeah.
every Sunday and stuff, but I do have a faith. And, I do believe in afterlife. And I do believe we will see our loved ones again.
Yeah.
Maybe even our pets, that are good to us.
Oh man, I hope so. I really hope so, man, because I got a lot of animals up there waiting to see me.
Yeah, it'd be like Noah's Ark.
I don't know. I didn't have that many, but you know me. I freaking love animals, dude. I got a lot of them. So yeah, I think about that a lot. You know what? I hope there's someday. I hope there's something good out there. Like I've never been a religious person. I've never believed that there's a one almighty being, right?
Right.
Jesus Christ. It's just like I was never around it when I was younger. So to me, they never had religion, and I never grew up believing in a higher power. So as I got older, it was living in a land of make believe with like fairies and dragons. It's like to me that's what religion was. The Bible talks about all these miracles that happen and all these things, and it's like I've never believed in this stuff, right? But like I said, as you get older, you start thinking like, wow, like I hope there is something good waiting for me when I leave this world. Like there's got to be more than us just dying and then that's it. There's a spirit.
Yeah.
We obviously have a spirit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All living things have a spirit of some sort. Life is not all about the struggle, which it is. It can be a struggle. But you got to remember to enjoy those moments that you're here that can be great for you. Because it's just like a storm, it doesn't last forever. Some lasts a long time, but not forever. It's kind of like that, because there's going to eventually be daylight. And that way you can go out and enjoy, take a ride, meet up with some friends. Like you talk about the weather out here, how wonderful it was. That's what it is. It's all about living.
Yeah.
If you don't get busy living, you're going to get busy dying. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. I love that saying. I was watching this. He was a professor / scientist, if you will, very into the afterlife and spirits and such. And I was watching one of his interviews one day, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how when one dies, he was explaining what happens when one dies, and I found it fascinating because how do you know you're dead?
Right.
Like how do you know fucking what happens? apparently this guy is highly educated and has learned all this stuff. So I found this conversation fascinating, right? So I'm listening, and
Mm-hmm.
he's talking about how when one dies, it essentially is your spirit coming out of the body, and you will initially come out of your body, be looking down at yourself. And you
Right.
may not know right away what's happening, right?
Right.
But whatever the case may be, you eventually leave the body and you go to this place. You see a light. It's like one of those things where supposedly he was saying that there are spirits of sorts that are waiting for you, and you can have an option to go back to the spirits and be reincarnated again, because it's kind of like spirits are everlasting and constantly learning. So essentially, he was saying in one form, if you die, your spirit has the option to go and reincarnate and live again in another life, but you will totally not remember anything, right? One other
Mm-hmm.
thing he said too that I found fascinating was when you die, you're immediately inundated with everything that you've done and like the history of like the universe, right? You're automatically inundated with all this information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that made sense to me because I'm like, okay, well, if there is some kind of spirit realm, if you will, then I would think you would automatically know that, okay, there is an afterlife of source, right?
Right. Right.
And he was saying there's one other option. You have the option to go and reincarnate again into another form.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, but what if? What if you turned away from that light and walked the other way? You'd
Mm-hmm.
walk the other way, which means you don't have to live the life of being reborn and constantly, living in that life. You have a choice. You can go to wherever. You don't have to go that route anymore.
Well,
You know
that
what I'm
route.
talking about? Like I
Yeah.
just found it fascinating. You believe in stuff like that?
Yeah. I've read into metaphysical and all that stuff when I took world religion in the community college and stuff. So I believe that it's like in that decision, there's a third fear. Is like if you turn away from the light and you don't reincarnate, you end up in this sort of purgatory. This eternal waiting room where you're kind of in between both worlds, the real world and the spiritual one.
Would that
You
be
know,
considered hell? I mean, is that
that's not in the sense that you think as being hell. Yeah, it would be hell because you're in this this permanent
yeah.
waiting room, not knowing what's going to happen to your spirit. But hell basically is what it is. It's not a pleasant place.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's always been hard for me to believe in like a heaven and a hell. I just it's like again, it's almost like these mythical beings, but
Yeah. Well,
it's weird. It's an
yeah.
odd thought.
Yeah, I understand when you haven't been cultured into that religion or any kind of religion, that it's a weird concept, But the thing is with the belief system, you have hope that
Yeah.
life will be better for you on the other side of the road because nobody's ever come back and said this shit is great.
But you got a point there, dude.
Yeah,
You
so
got a point.
yeah, so you just gotta, weigh out your options basically and what your thoughts are in regards to that because it can either drive you insane, with too much information, or it can
Yeah.
enlighten you to where you know how you want to, where you want your spirit to be. I
Yeah.
believe this is just me talking, not representing anybody. It's
Totally.
just that,
Hey, there's free speech here, bro. No judgment here, brother.
yeah, I'm just saying they'd be like, "Oh man, he's representing all these people." No, no, no. This is just me talking, man.
Yeah.
But it's your good deeds here that you do for others and for yourself. It carries over with you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be hell on wheels and then expect a well reward at the end. You just do your deeds. You don't have to be Mr. Softy about it.
Yeah.
but just be good to your fellow man, your fellow lady.
Well, to be clear, I do believe that a person is judged based off of what they've done. Like, for example, here's where I get confused with religion, if you will. You can have these mass murders, dude, right? These
Hmm.
guys, there's people who have done the most heinous of
Hmm.
acts to humans, bro.
Right.
They end up going to prison and becoming born again. And like they're in prison and they get out and now like they're just all godly like and
Vegan.
they accepted the Lord, and now they're supposed to be given a free ticket to a beautiful place. I mean, to me that just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I can see how that would sound ridiculous, but the thing is, in religions, majority of the major ones, they believe in forgiveness. And if you come with all your sins and you ask for forgiveness, and no, and that's per person, that's case by case,
Yeah,
but if you're not willing to forgive, if they're not looking to necessarily for society to forgive them because they served their time. Their spirit is up with God. Whatever God says
yeah,
is what weighs on them.
that's just crazy to me, man. Like to me, people who don't deserve to be forgiven,
Hmm.
people who abuse animals, people who abuse kids,
Yeah,
rapists. Like these
yeah.
people don't deserve forgiveness, bro.
No,
You do heinous acts like that. How it's just like that's why I can't
right.
fully commit to Christianity or any kind of religion because of things like that. It just defeats the purpose.
It defeats the purpose of the morals, the moralization that comes with religion. And like I said earlier, not everybody that clears their spirit. There are certain that's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah,
Because not everybody who's demented like that are gonna know that I need to get my shit together. I need to get my life right.
yeah,
Some of them will be animals. They'll be straight up animals about this shit. And yeah, they need to go to hell, die and go to hell, of course. But then just because they go into prison don't mean they're gonna rehabilitate and
yeah,
find Jesus or Allah or whoever they find. You know, a lot of times those people can't be rehabilitated. But the ones that do, they come out, they did their time, they got
yeah,
their probation, and they don't get in trouble no more. You know, I think that's acceptable. But it's like, if you got somebody that's not like that, then hell
yeah.
yeah, send them to the stockade.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I just know that, like I said, as I get older, I do believe that there's some kind of transition of sorts, and I hope there is a good place, and I hope I've done enough good deeds and lived a good life in this world that I'll go to a good place, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What that
And
place is, I don't know. Like it's
we
like I
don't we
said,
don't know.
we don't know.
Yeah, yeah. We don't know, but we do the best we can with what we got. How it is. But we just do those deeds. Just do as best you can with your life,
Yeah,
because that's not always easy. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and it may not be the right thing to do, but that's your options at the time, you
yeah.
know. But no, okay, I got to get back on track here. Then life should work out for you.
Well, that's why I think there is a logic of mending fences. Why
Hmm.
you can't, why you can.
Why
And
you
now
can't?
it comes back to the beast scenario again. Like I never had a chance to mend fences. But I can say this in losing him and understanding that we let some petty shit get in between us, it
Hmm.
makes me realize moving forward from here how to deal with people, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
and that's
not be so stubborn and standoffish.
right. And the thing is, Reels is that you learn from it.
Yeah.
It would be a total waste of experience had you not know how to move forward and treat people from here on out.
Yeah.
You get me?
That makes a lot of sense, man. It
Yeah.
does.
So it's you always get the punishment before you get the lesson sometimes, So
Yeah.
you learn from it, you say, okay, this is how I move forward, this is how I can make my life a lot less stressful and more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that's where the fulfilling part of life comes in, that fills the gaps.
Yep. Lessons learned, my friend. Lessons learned.
Absolutely.
It's like sometimes you have to go through some shit in
That's for
order
sure.
to in order to figure things out. Sometimes when you figure things out, you're in your 80s and you're like, why did it take me 80 fucking years to learn this shit? Hey, it doesn't matter how long it fucking takes, as long as you learned it before you die,
Long as you
right?
learn it, that's exactly the point. But you don't want to necessarily wait till you're 80 to do it, and
Hell no.
you want to learn as you go through these
Yeah.
experiences, because that's really how it should work. In the natural,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
sometimes there's always exceptions, to anything.
For sure, man. You know, I was I've had this conversation many times. Like, the average man lives to about 75. That's like our average, bro. If that's the
Hmm.
case, I got about another 24 years left, bro.
Hey, we're in the same
Gotta
boat.
live. Yeah, we gotta live the good life moving forward, right?
Yeah, man, we're both Gen Xers, so we gotta take care of ourselves.
Dude, we're a dying breed, bro. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
unfortunate. Well, which
yeah.
leads me to our next little topic, and I have to ask, what's your take on our scenario right now politically? What's your take? What are you seeing? What's your views?
Well, that's a loaded question there. There's
I
so there's so much going on, in
know.
100 days. It's just mind
Well, it
blowing.
doesn't have to be just about Trump. Like, just in general, your likes, dislikes. What would you like to see happen? I mean, is there any
Well, no.
crazy shit that you're seeing right now?
Well, I think if I was to address the crazy shit, I think we as a nation shouldn't isolate ourselves. Is the way
Mm,
we're headed, because we're kind of like the ant on the mountain. We're throwing dirt everywhere, and nobody wants to fuck with us. Business wise, because we're we're shutting down the hatches. We're circling the wagons now. So if you have a closed fist, you can't give nothing and you can't receive anything. And we got a closed fist politically, and we need to open up and start taking care of each other. As Americans, and stop shooting ourselves in the foot.
yeah, I mean, I see your view on that. I think Americans as a whole
Hmm.
genuinely want to see a united front. I think
Yeah,
as a whole,
that's all, of course.
I think we're so into this whole left right shit now
And there's too
that
many
it's like,
labels.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like good and evil. And I've
yeah,
used that term a lot. It really is like,
yeah.
I just, what happened to civility, bro?
It went out
We
the
don't see
door.
that much these days, dog.
No, we don't, man. I mean, you know, I I remember growing up, and I'm quite sure you do too. Like our parents didn't talk about who they voted for. At least mine didn't.
Yeah,
That was like, hey, that's none of your business.
yeah.
What you do is your business. And it did, and I preferred it that way. Now that I'm living in this era now, because it don't create that animosity,
Yeah,
that's created now because everybody is so open with how their feelings. They're not thinking with their head because
that's a
everything
big
now,
problem.
everybody's led by their feelings and they're raw. and they don't know what to do with them except explode.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the times we live in now, man. That's why I say Gen X were the last of a dying breed. We were, not raised and we didn't grow up with social media, bro.
No, no. All the dirt we did, there's no evidence.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
So we did some crazy shit, that's for sure. And but no, yeah, everybody wants to be famous, Instagram famous or TikTok famous, everybody
Mm.
instant gratification. I mean, it's on overload now, with what people want and what they want out of life or society in general. And a lot of times you can't always get what you want, like the Rolling Stones would sing.
Yeah. It's true, man.
Yeah. But
It's crazy.
I see a lot of the hecticness going on. I mean, my biggest thing I saw was crazy is that, people are the enemy of the state if you have an opinion. You know,
Totally.
you're the enemy of the state. You
Yeah.
got to get out of here.
It's like, come on, man.
And then it's like free speech is going out the window, like common sense. It's a damn superpower.
I don't know, man. It really blows my mind that we're living in these times, But you know what? I think I'm a Trump supporter, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think aside from all the bullshit that's being said on both sides, I think we're finally going in a good direction now. I mean, I think we were set up the last couple of years. We were a very, very weak country.
Hmm.
Policies in place, people in charge. Um, I mean, dude, people are walking all over us, bro. Walking the fuck all over us like a fucking doormat, dude. And people
Right.
are still trying to do that right now, but now it's like, oh shit, USA is not a doormat anymore. So now what do we do?
No, it's not a doormat. I mean, I don't believe that people believe that we are a doormat, but we can't be a bully either. We can't just go cracking skulls because we can because we have all the power to do that. But don't mean that we should go around doing that.
Are you talking about the tariff scenario?
No, I'm just talking about the politics in general.
Yeah.
Now,
Because
the
I think that's,
tariffs is only part of it.
yeah. I think actually, I actually love what's happening right now with the tariff war. And I'll tell
Hmm.
you why. Because so many countries have been taking advantage of us for years, and they would just charge us triple, quadruple the fucking percentages compared to what we'd be charging for them. And like USA, we did nothing about it. We just let
Right.
these people freaking charge whatever they fucking want. And we did nothing about it for years and years. And the fact that Trump is actually trying to fix those, I absolutely love that, dude. Hey, look, if you charge us 50% on something, we should have the right to charge you 50% on something. I mean, I think it's reasonable, and
Yeah.
that's merely what he's trying to do, essentially. And I have no problem with that. But there's a huge problem when we're only charging 20% tariffs and fucking countries are charging us 200% on shit.
Hmm.
There's something drastically wrong there.
Are you thinking that China charges that, or because
No, I'm just
you
saying
got
countries as
China
a
right
whole.
there?
I mean,
Yeah.
well, even Canada's charging up the ass for freaking, cheese products, dude. I mean, it's just crazy to me.
Well, just get a Whopper without cheese, man.
Dude, I love cheese, bro. Fucking love cheese. But you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm just like, fuck, man. Let's make this shit even.
Right.
So that's all I care about.
And it's good to even up the playing field, but the thing is, it's gonna eventually bite us in the ass because the thing is about business. I know we haven't led into that yet, but as a business owner, any fees I incur, I incorporate in my prices.
Yeah.
And that's any business, and just like you purchase product overseas or whatever your supplier is, whatever they charge you, you do your markup, then you do your taxes and all those steps, which anybody who is not in business or run a business is not going to be commonly aware. It's common knowledge,
Yeah.
but that's generally how it works without going to the in depth about it. So, you
Well,
know,
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you as a business owner. I mean, as much as I like seeing the tariffs and this tariff war happening right now, hopefully it'll balance itself out. I was going to
mhm.
ask you if you're affected by that right now.
I am affected by the tariffs because one of the things, my knives, for one thing,
Yeah,
that they're made over in Germany, and then they're also made in Asia. So different parts of Taiwan. Then I also get them from Vietnam.
yeah,
So the tariffs, importing fees for all those items is going to go up, and then so I have to raise the price up. You know, and then people look at me like that's just a pen. How the fuck can a pen cost $50?
yeah,
That sort of thing. But what I'm doing as a business owner, and I'm quite sure there are other ones that are doing it, they're looking for ways they can bring their manufacturing here. But the thing is, that comes at a cost too, you know, because you got to set up, you got to employ people, you got to get the facilities and all the stuff that you used to get from your supplier. Now you got to be the in-house, manufacturer.
of course. I mean, look, I'm not a business owner, but I am in sales. As you know, I sell heavy duty mining equipment, like that
Hmm.
show, like on that show Gold Rush, right?
Right.
And I will say that prices of steel, aluminum have all gone up. And it affects my industry a little bit because everything's bumping up in price, which, okay, I get it. So it does in turn reflect, and we have to pass that on to the customer. And the thing is, I think we have to just ride this out, bro. Like, we're going to ride, like, it's kind of like our gas, right?
Yeah,
We've
of
had to
course.
ride out this high gas tax for a couple years now. We're riding it out. It's going to get better. And that's kind of how I see it with the mining industry that I'm in. I've found that we have to considerably be more aggressive with our sales and who we're dealing with, and we explain across the board, hey, you're seeing price hikes because of the tariffs. It is affecting our business, no doubt about it.
Hmm.
But I kind of don't mind. I mean, because I understand long run what Trump is trying to do with the tariffs. That I get it. Let's
Yeah.
balance this out. In the meantime, I've got to just navigate this
Hmm.
and build better relations with my customers that they'll just buy from me even though we're more expensive. Like that's always
Right.
like it's always kind of like an obstacle, right? How okay, if I'm going to be 80 grand more than my competitor, I need to fucking figure out how to fucking navigate that obstacle, you
Yeah,
know?
you have to navigate those obstacles
Yeah.
and then negotiate to some point to where you're not pricing yourself out.
And we've done that a few times. But at the same time, I've been in situations where my customer has 3 quotes and I'll be the highest or the second highest and he still buys from me. And
Hmm.
the reason why that is because I build relationships with people.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's what.
always work. All my customers aren't like that. I have some customers, honestly, bottom dollar. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're cheaper than me than a penny. That fucking guy's getting it because that's
Right.
just how it is.
That's how it works. Yeah.
But there's been several occasions where I'll be more expensive, but they buy from me because they like me. I have a good relationship with them, and that really sets the bar a lot of times. But yeah, the sales business, you got to really be fucking on your game, or you're not going to be too good at it. You know?
Right. So that's what I was going to point. I was going to get at too, because not only am I the CEO of my company, I do manufacturing, I do the sales, I do the
Yeah.
accounting. I wear a lot of hats.
Hell
So
yeah, dude.
when I do what I do, I always believe in what you just said, networking, building relationships, because that's how people come back. Like I work these gun shows, and then they're like massive, like Phoenix, downtown Phoenix. There's
Yeah.
just like 1,000 vendors there, but people seem to want to come there to find me. Out of all these people that they could go see, they come to me. It could be
Yeah.
three other guys doing the exact same thing I'm doing, but because I stand by my work, I have a rapport with the people I sell to. Like yourself, you can't, rather than you blasting me on Google or on social media, you came to me directly and you talk to me and say,
Mm.
hey, can you help me out? Because you and I had that rapport when we
Mm-hmm.
talked last time, and I take care of you. Not some Joe Blow that you got to mail your holster back to,
Yeah.
wait 2 weeks, then have it shipped back, and
Yeah.
where's I provide instant gratification. He's like, boom, you
You
got a
did.
problem, I fix it.
You were Johnny on the spot, bro. Like literally, with your leg fucked up in your little case there, and still custom built my holster on the fly like that. It was pretty cool that you were doing
Thank you,
that,
man.
man.
But that's how I do the relationships with people. Like if people want to watch me manufacture a holster, sure, by all means, check it out. And I guarantee you, they'll look at it and walk around, and then they come back and get two holsters. I had one
Yep.
guy brought 6 guns at one time. I had 6 holsters that I had to sit here and do for this guy, and it was awesome, but it was a lot of work at the same time.
Well, I did buy a couple years back a holster for me for my Glock 26, right? So I got that one, and it's really weird because I changed my guns out probably like I don't know once every 6 months or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had this thing like I carried my Glock 26 around me everywhere, dude, because it's just like nice and compact and fits real nice. But
Hmm.
my Glock 30, the it's a 45. It's a bigger fucking gun, and
Yeah.
I gotta kind of put it on my hip now because I'm kind of chubby, dude. So I'm like, fuck. Like now it hangs out up to the side a little bit.
Wait, are you telling your viewers you can't do appendix carry
What's that, dude? Yeah,
where you wear it in
yeah.
front?
I know what it is for. I'm just saying. No, I can't appendix carry. That shit hurts my belly. Okay, shit. I put that. It's like right on my side, bro. Okay, especially when I'm riding the bike, dude. I gotta kind of like adjust it so it doesn't pinch my gut, dude. I'm like,
Oh
okay, that
man,
fits better.
Reels, man, you got some shit with you.
Well, shit, bro. I'm like, no, dude. Like, oh, I haven't appendix carried in a long time. It's more of like hip carry now. Dude. That's where
Yeah,
I gotta put that
yeah, you like
motherfucker at,
at
dude.
3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Yeah, what happens?
Nice, man. Well, no, but yeah, man, that's what it's about. Is the relationships, develop that, and then financial intelligence.
Mm,
Having that intelligence to know, okay, this is my budget, this is what I got, how much can I put away for a rainy day? If you can't do that, you do what you can so you can do better. You know,
yeah,
and I employ anybody that's got a job. Try to look and start to take your hobbies or something, or your trade, and make a business out of it. Because
yeah.
that's the only way you're gonna survive with the extra money. Because big lots are closing. They're closed. 99 cents. All the low hanging fruit is gone.
Yeah,
So all you got is the big box places, and you got to spend money with them because they can all raise their prices.
man, I learned early on in life, bro, that you only have your word, right? And I think that's part of my upbringing. I learned to do business based on handshakes, being a man of your word, being a man of honor, saying, hey, if I tell you I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like blow smoke up your ass and say, oh yeah, I want your sale, and then I get it, and then you never fucking see me again. Like you gotta
Right.
be a man of your fucking word.
Can I
And
share a story with you on that?
absolutely, dude, I want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy that came back with a holster, and I guess it was too tight because once it cooled off, it got really tight on his gun. And he showed up without making an appointment. And I said, "Oh, I'm about to head out because I had to take care of Lisa,
Yeah.
my wife Lisa, because she had cancer." But anyway, I was leaving. He was coming in. I told him, come on, another time. But he lived all the way out in Peoria on the far
Shit.
west side. Yeah, so he was way out there. So what I
Distance
told
wise, how long was that? About an hour and a half?
was there about 45 minutes
Okay.
without traffic.
Okay.
But if I was to go now, it would take me about 2 hours to get out there.
Yeah, because traffic's
With the
getting
traffic.
nasty in Arizona.
Yeah, it was real nasty, like the 405 in LA. But
These Californians are moving over there, bro. They say, "Don't California my Arizona," is what I
yeah,
hear.
keep those politics out there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be doing that, stinking up our state with that. So,
Anyways,
but
I didn't mean to interrupt, bro.
no, no. But anyway, I told the guy I'll come to you. I'll bring my truck and come to you and fix your holster. So what I did, that I told him I'll come out on a Saturday. There's too much fucking traffic. So I did that, and that was last weekend. And I went out there to Peoria, popped the tailgate, put the holster together just like I did for you.
Yeah.
And he was fucking ecstatic. He was so happy about it. He already paid for the holster and he still gave me another $40.
Wow.
Yeah,
See, because he appreciated that, bro.
yeah.
He really appreciated that, man. That goes a long way.
Mhm.
You know, like for me and my business that I'm in, we're not the big dogs, bro. We're a mom and pop company. The great thing about it is they've been around 40 plus years, so they've been around a long time, know what the hell they're doing.
Mhm.
But sometimes we're not top dogs on the list. I mean, our competitors are just, sometimes they kill us on price sometimes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've had to find ways to sell to people sometimes because my competitors,
yeah. They're beast.
there's no joke, bro. They don't give a
Yeah,
fuck. They'll walk right all over you if you let them, and
yeah.
I
Mash
don't
you
let that
up.
shit. Yeah, dude. So I've found ways to overcome that. Okay, we may not be able to compete with you on a financial level with costs and such, but I
Mhm.
damn well guarantee you I can compete with you on my motherfucking service, bro. You
Yeah,
tell me
yeah.
when in there, I'm fucking there. Like tomorrow, I'm going into Mexico tomorrow to see some customers and I try not to go into Mexico if I don't have to, but I
Mhm.
just recently sold a bunch of equipment out there last year. It was to my first customer out in Mexico, and now like when he calls me, I go.
Right.
No hesitation, dude. And a lot of the competitors won't go because they don't want to cross the border. They don't want to go over there right now. They're like, "Oh, go to Mexico right now? Fuck no." I'm like,
Right.
"No,
Right.
I'll
Right.
go. I'll
Yeah.
go. Let's go." And then not only that, we're gonna go have a motherfucking nice lunch that I'm gonna take you out on. Let's go.
Heck
Because
yeah.
that's what you do, bro. You gotta
Yeah.
just set the
That's
standard.
right, and that's where your bread and butter comes from. Because that's
Exactly.
repeat business. They know you.
Yeah.
They know your personality. They know you stand behind your product. You're not like the other guys will say, "Well, fuck it, I just sell it to them and let them figure it out."
Yeah.
Like I was talking about, like you were talking about the bigger competitors. I have them as well because I work strictly local Arizona, state of Arizona as far as my business is concerned. But I have other competitors that will do things that I can't do, like Safariland would do, like level 3, level 4. But their
Yeah.
holsters, we were talking about 250 and up. These are some really expensive holsters. So
Yeah. That's crazy.
you know, and then on top of that, I can make a holster whether you have an aftermarket flashlight or laser, whereas my competitors can't do that. It's
Yeah.
like you order a holster online, if it's not a TLR flashlight on there, you ain't getting shit. It ain't gonna fit. Where I molded
Yeah.
custom fit.
I forgot you could do that. I don't have any way crazy fucking like custom guns with lights and all that shit. I'm more of a basic guy. Just give me a
Yeah.
fucking basic Glock and I'll fucking shoot the fuck out of my target, okay? Like I
Yeah.
don't need the fancy shit, but
I just
I
get
forgot that
all.
you do that though. I'm gonna remember that because my brother has a lot of guns that have different weird little modifications on them
Yeah.
too. So
if he has a red dot, I have a holster that has a red dot cut for the laser and stuff like that. But being a holster manufacturer, I see all the latest and greatest, man.
I
I've
can
seen
imagine.
gold-plated guns, nickel-plated guns, guns that had competition barrels that are twisted, and it's just some all kind of funky stuff on firearms. And I make holsters for them. You know, I post them on my Instagram so that people can see samples of my work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, I love your shit, bro. I just love you as a person, bro. Honestly, you're just a genuine good motherfucker, and I feel like you and I have an even deeper connection now that we lost Beast. For some reason, I felt his presence
Yeah.
when I was out there last week and seeing you, and it meant something to me. So
Yeah, it meant something to me too. So I
it's good
appreciate
shit.
you coming through and all that. So definitely, man. And I hope that your viewers see this as well. You know, we can have two different opinions about the same thing and still get along well as friends and respect each
Yeah.
other as men. If more people can reach out like that, we have a much better country.
Man, yeah, I'll agree with you 100% on that, dude. And, sometimes I'm guilty of that too, because, I mean, at some point, sometimes enough's enough with me. Like, if you make attempts to talk to people, and it's still going to be the same old shit.
Of course.
Sometimes you're just going to be like, you know what, motherfucker? Yeah, think what you want, dude. I'm
Right.
out,
Right. I set those
but-
same standards too, because like if you cross the line, I would say, hey man, stop while you're ahead.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
my warning there,
Well, that's just being a man in general. Like, that's just you saying, hey, I have a backbone. I'm telling you right now, you're crossing the line. Shut the fuck up. I think most men would be like, shit, sorry, bro. Like, I didn't mean to,
Right.
And that's fucking important, dude.
Yeah, but there's some yahoos out there, which I ran in personally, that'll double down on their shit.
I
They'll
know,
double down.
dude.
And I'm like, what the hell, man? What the fuck?
That's fucking crazy to me, man. It's just...
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, I want to give you a final shout out to Hail Mary Holsters. Again, if you're looking for a solid piece for your sidearm, or if you're looking for a badass blade that'll last you, Damian Paige at Hail Mary Holsters, he's the real deal. He'll get you taken care of. He's a good fucking dude. And his prices are very reasonable. No, man, no need to thank me, brother, when I'm just being honest, because honestly, bro, I appreciate you, and I love the hustle. And I'm glad you didn't lose your motherfucking leg, bro. Seriously.
I value my independence, like you would understand as well. I got to be able to move around and do shit for myself.
Oh, dude, for sure, man. And I'm glad you're out there doing it still, bro. You got to. This is like, what do? Do you just sit down and die? Or do you know what? You got to keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on, dude.
Keep on, man. But sure. But I would say thank you for having me on. And hopefully it was entertaining for your viewers. And, they got some information.
Totally, man. Well, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate you, and for the listeners and subscribers tuning in. Hey, check out Damian Paige. You can find him on Instagram, Facebook. You can look up Hail Mary Holsters. You can find him under that name as well. And I encourage you guys, if you're looking for a good quality product, reach out to him. And if you do business with him, hey, give him a good review. Follow his page, man. And he'll definitely get you dialed in. So
Absolutely.
Take care, Damian. Appreciate having you on. And we'll have to do this again real soon.
Absolutely.
With that being said, this is Reelz signing off. Ride safe, live free, and don't take shit from anyone. Peace.